Yo, I gotta see what Paahtis has to say about this, man. Um, Japan's new problem, train wars. If I know, since there's multiple parts in here, I know it's definitely gonna be including groping on trains, like old ass fucking dudes just fondling young girls, bro. I guarantee you, it's gonna be at least one of the problems on trains. All right, let's see what he has to say.
There are hidden problems you'll start to notice. Rush hours have been getting worse than ever, and now tensions between the
Oh,
people
damn! Even the
have
girls have thrown
reached a
hands.
whole new level. Even nuisance influencers have made commuting in Japan a living hell when the country
I hate that
already
shit, bro.
had a problem with chikan, people who sexually harass women on the train.
And this is just the beginning.
Public transportation has turned into a battleground between the foreigners and the Japanese, while the station staff have to deal with toritetsu, local train fanatics who have been caught ganging up on people who come between them and the trains. One such person being Dylan, a foreigner whose life was
Not
changed forever
Dylan.
after he ended up in an altercation with the toritetsu, who we will later on in this video meet in person.
We will be going in depth in all of these issues and even some heavier ones that I haven't revealed yet, including the time I myself had to deal with a chikan. Since we have a lot to talk about, it's better if we get started, and there's no better place to start than with the most modern problem Japan is having, the nuisance influencers.
Now, I'm not going to claim that nuisance
AKA young Western dickheads just fucking it up for everybody. Yeah, bro. I can't stand these dudes, bro. I don't give a shit if they're fucking young kids, bro. You literally ruin the government. Their government doesn't give a fuck that you guys are young. They don't care. And they're literally ruining it for everybody else here. You know, they're literally gonna fuck it up for everybody who actually are respectful people who want to go to Japan and just, embrace the culture.
influencers are something that people have to
Hell, we don't even like this dumb shit in, because I'm from New York. We don't like this shit in New York, man. A bunch of fucking like random dudes just playing their loud ass music on the trains. We
deal
hate
with
that
every
shit.
time they board the train here in Japan, but if you've been following my channel, you might have noticed that most of these nuisance influencer situations seem to take place in public transportation.
And there's a reason for it.
In Japan, when anything happens during the rush hour, everyone will just keep to themselves and mind their own business. This is why even if a nuisance influencer were to cause ruckus somewhere in public, most of the people will simply ignore them and they aren't able to get the reactions they want to their videos. However, when these same influencers start harassing people in a public
Dude, that's
train,
so annoying.
everyone inside is stuck in the train with them and they have no option but to react to them.
And the biggest problem in all of this is that it works.
They're kind of like those fucking dancers from New York where they're just constantly just dancing, asking for like money and shit like that. You know, most people are just trying to get through their day and they're just there just to, try to get a few dollars out of you playing their loud ass music and dancing, hoping that they don't you don't get kicked in the face by them, you know?
Every time one of these morons decides to make a scene, it's almost always bound to end up on the news. News stories like this then cause irreversible long-term
Yo,
damage to the
I remember there was a fucking streamer. I think it was it Mizkif or something like that? Didn't he cause controversy when he went to Japan and he started doing pull-ups on the cherry blossoms? Is this him? Let me know if this is him. And there was another fucking streamer. I guess he was not a streamer, but I guess I've seen him on Instagram a few times. He's like half Japanese. He kind of looks like a model. So, and he was doing the same thing that he was, I guess maybe trying to get clout from him or something like that. So it's fucked up on both ends, but it's more on the other dude that was trying to get that clout, because he's half Japanese. He's literally half his bloodline comes from that land, and he's allowing this shit and even encouraging and doing this shit to happen. But let me know, was it Mizkif or was it another streamer that did this? Let me know, because I'm sure it had to be Mizkif.
reputation of foreigners like you and me who simply want to respectfully travel here. And despite all of this, I regularly get comments asking why a middle-aged guy like me would hate on someone like Sigma Boy who's just having some harmless fun.
First of all, playing shitty music out loud
Dude, if you want to have fun, go to a fucking park or stay in your house and play Fortnite, bro. Don't do that dumb shit. Come on, stop it. Stop it.
in the train isn't funny. And I know what fun is. I look in the mirror every day. This is something anyone can understand once they become a middle-aged 30-year-old boomer like myself.
And like me.
Another comment I received was, why does it matter when he acts like this in Japan when he does the same exact thing in other countries?
Dude, they don't like that shit in those countries. Well, there's a continent. They don't like that shit in those countries too, bro. They don't like that shit over there either. They don't like that shit in fucking Germany or fucking France or Sweden or Denmark or any of the other European countries, because I would assume they're going to Western Europe. You're talking about Western Europe. And they sure as hell don't like it in Korea and China. So, no, I think in general, most people most countries across the world don't like nuisance streamers or people who are nuisances in general.
And the answer to that is quite simple. The rules are different here.
Not really. Not really.
And trust me, I get it. Not every nuisance behavior
Was it Miskiff?
Quite simple. The rules are different here.
and
It is Miskiff.
trust me, I
It is
get
mischief.
it. Not every nuisance behavior is the same, because while some people like Johnny Somali act maliciously, some people simply are
Johnny Somalia, fucking, was it Logan Paul? Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember. Didn't he get banned out of Japan? Like, he's not allowed to go to Japan anymore? Or did they pardon him? Chat, let me know.
just too stupid to realize what they're doing is out of line. But in the end, it doesn't matter if you're acting maliciously or not, because both end up having the same negative effect of showing anyone who watches them that they too can become famous overnight by harassing people around them. While these nuisance influencers are the extreme cases, the truth is they're just tip of the iceberg when it comes to the problems
Oh, I've seen this before. That's crazy. Yo, this guy's literally hauling ass from, because I think he was groping some fucking, like, little girls and shit like that on the train.
Japan's public transportation
Yeah,
is
there they are.
having
There they are. I'm not sure if they're like middle schoolers or they're just short high schoolers, but he was doing some foul shit. And the fact, also, this guy's been doing that shit a while, because
they're just
look at the fact that how he got up immediately after he got tripped. Look at
the
him.
iceberg when it comes to the
It's like he wasn't
problems that
hurt.
Japan's public
Look,
transportation is
like he
having
wasn't
these
fucking
days,
hurt at all.
of which we will get to later on this video.
And speaking of extreme behavior, there is another group of people that for a long time have been causing chaos in Japan.
Railway photographers, better known locally as toritetsu,
That's
are a group of fanatics whose main objective is to take the best photos of trains they can.
it's fucking weird. So it's like, what, they get a hard on every time they see a fucking bullet train passing by one of these old school trains? If that's the case.
While at first glance it's seemingly an innocent hobby, once you realize who you're dealing with, you'll start understanding why the trouble section takes up 90% of the Toritetsu Wikipedia page. These people are notoriously way too into their hobby, meaning they'll do anything and everything to get their photos, such as fight with the train station staff, run on the tracks, cut trees from a private property to have a clear view of the train, and even pull the emergency brakes just to be able to take a better picture, like what happened here.
Dude, a few years ago in New York, a couple of fucking high school kids did that same bullshit, minus the photographs. They just pulled the fucking emergency brakes just for shits and giggles, or there was no good reason for them to pull it. That's what I'm trying to say. The people there wanted to fuck those kids up. The only reason why they did was because they were fucking kids. A few of them were spitting on them too.
Yeah, we need to go home. And the four chain, watch out.
I want to deal with this, bro.
I don't care. No. You gotta understand what's up.
Let them meet, but they're all gonna get booked anyway, bro. Let them meet, they're all gonna get booked.
Lock down the chain. And the four chain. No one go home. Alright, so we don't want to play on the house when he's a kid. We're not big people. Nearly an hour now the chain locked down. The chain can't move. Big problem.
Why they think about us? I don't respect them, but don't
Alright, so we about to get ready to go through. But they don't.
It was fucking nuts, bro. They really wanted to have, because they were already coming home from work and they had a long fucking day. The last thing they want to do is deal with a bunch of fucking dipshit ass fucking kids, yet alone a dipshit ass fucking kids pulling the emergency brake and then stalling everything, bro. The last thing they want to do is that, man.
Now obviously, I'm not saying every railway photographer in Japan is as crazy as these.
Worst thing is that these guys the guy who did that shit, who pulled the emergency brake, I guarantee he's a fucking adult. He's not even a kid. That makes it so much fucking worse, man.
What happened here? Now obviously, I'm not saying every railway photographer in Japan is as crazy as these guys are, but it is common enough that toritetsu has essentially become a derogatory term and almost everyone online makes fun of them. Not only are toritetsu causing chaos at the stations, but they are also constantly interrupting the traffic and making trains run late because they have the tendency to sneak into areas where they aren't supposed to be and run on the tracks, which forces the drivers to stop as a precaution. One of the most notorious toritetsu meltdowns happened in Kamakura Kamakura, where people had gathered to photograph the famous Enoden train line. However, once the train arrived from behind the curb, something unexpected happened.
Doke! Shine!
That's Dylan.
Doke.
You're probably wondering how he got here. Dylan is a resident of Kamakura and
Not
runs his
Dylan.
own home taco bar restaurant in the area. He was on his way home from work, not thinking much of the train he was cycling next to, and once he arrived from behind the curve, he saw around 50 people pointing their cameras at him, to which his natural reaction was to wave at them, only to realize it wasn't him they were trying to photograph. What happened to him
Dude, he should have just fucking left. He should have just hauled ass immediately, bro.
next is one of the craziest things that can happen to a foreigner in Japan, but we'll get back to it later.
Hold on, that
What
other
is
dude-
one of the craziest
This dude right here, this guy right here, he didn't fucking continue. So I think he's probably aware who the fuck the Toritetsu are. He probably knows how, oh fuck, if I go through this while they're taking the photo, they're gonna have my ass. So I'm just gonna wait here. Look, he doesn't move. Look.
things that can happen to a foreigner in Japan.
See, he
but
doesn't
We'll
move.
get back to
He
it
didn't
later
move.
once we visit his restaurant and hear it from the man himself. Dylan, however, isn't the only foreigner getting in trouble, since recently Japanese trains have become a battleground between the tourists and the locals. Just in the past decade, the number of tourists has quadrupled with no end in sight. The reason for this, in my opinion, more than
The weebs.
likely is the fact that today, the generation who grew up watching anime are turning into their 20s and 30s and finally have the buying power to visit the country themselves. With this many people traveling here,
Dude, if I go to Japan someday, I definitely want to go to like the shopping areas where you can get like sneakers and shit like that. Like a lot of people don't know this shit about me, but I collect Nike SBs and pre-Nike SB dunks, like Pro Bs and stuff like that. And yeah, over there they have such an insane collection for the most part. I mean, there's some places where like they have exhibits like in glass, like behind glass. Unfortunately, some of them are not for sale. You know, that's what irks me. But they have a lot of shit there that's like so many exclusives. And not only that, due to the fact that the yen is a lot weaker than the American dollar, you can get them for a lot less over there. You know? That's why I definitely want to go to Japan, bro. I want to go to Japan so badly.
the over-tourism problem has been a huge talking point in the news, and the constant barrage of negative headlines involving tourists has turned many local people hostile towards foreigners. Japanese trains have an incredible amount of strict rules that most tourists don't know about. No rushing on the train, no eating, no talking on the phone, just to name a few. When the millions of tourists visiting Japan inevitably end up breaking these rules, it creates a lot of friction with the local people who are already riled up against foreigners due to the news, which causes clashes in the train daily.
Why you foreigners always do like this? Block the street? You are fucking racist, I think. You miss out on Japanese people, right? Why? Why do you like this? Answer me.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate this shit too. Granted, there are people that are like foreigners, like they mentioned, that are just there to visit the country and they have luggage and shit like that. But don't fucking block the path, bro. There are a lot of people from New York that are people visiting New York and they do this shit too. And it's so fucking annoying, bro. It is so irritating. Especially when you have a big family and they have a shit ton of luggage and they block the path to get to the next car or even the exit, bro. It's just fucking dumb, man. I hate this shit too, man. But I don't know why they call them racist though. I don't get that. I don't get that's like the fucking like go-to for people who are not white is to call white people racist, which is fucking irritating. It's annoying. Like, bro, what the fuck are they doing? They're not doing anything racist. They're not calling you any slurs. They're just blocking the path, which they're dicks. Yes, they're absolutely fucking dicks for doing this shit, but they're not racist. Come on.
Why? Why do you like this? Answer me.
One of the biggest points of contention has been tourists bringing their luggage with them, like is happening in this video, where a man is crashing out to a group of tourists, having their bags out on the aisle, blocking the road completely. When it comes to luggage, I myself am sympathetic towards tourists. Even though there are alternative ways of handling things, like taking a taxi or
Yeah.
sending your bags through mail.
I would fucking do that. I would take a taxi or take an Uber if I have a shit ton of luggage, because there's no way I'm gonna have the locals get pissed off at me. Fuck that.
Sometimes you just have no alternative but to take it with you, and I don't think the people themselves are too happy either, having to navigate the busy public transportation system with their belongings. I'm not saying people can't be inconsiderate with how they handle their bags in the train, but sometimes you just might end up in a lose-lose situation.
Now, in case you are wondering how you can avoid a crash out from a Japanese salaryman inside the train, I would say the two best things you can do is to be as quiet as you can and to take as little space as you can. In general, when you're inside the train, keep your backpack in a place where you don't end up accidentally hitting people with it, and
at least say sorry, dipshit.
if you have larger luggage, umbrellas, or whatever you name it, just try your best to keep them out of other people's way. When it comes to noise, even though talking on the phone is frowned upon, talking to other people is completely fine as long as you keep your volume reasonable, and I have to say...
Hold on, what the fuck? Hold on one second. Who the fuck was this
talking to
guy?
other people is completely fine as long as you...
Why does this guy look like... Yo, this guy looks like fucking like a young Fidel Castro. Chat, am I lying? Does this guy look like a Fidel Castro? With the fucking green hat and the big burly beard? Really? That's crazy.
keep your volume reasonable, and I have to say, every now and then you do see foreigners who are being a bit too uncomfortably loud. Of course, there are many more rules when it comes to train etiquette, but I feel like these are the two cardinal sins that end up causing the most trouble between the foreigners and the locals. One thing that requires mentioning though is that even though tourists end up breaking these rules more, it's not like the Japanese themselves are completely innocent. Every time you go out, you're bound to see locals sitting on the floor, kicking things, being drunk as hell.
Yeah, I'm glad he's mentioning it. Oh, this guy fucking
You
blew
name
up.
it.
This guy, I'm glad they're fucking mentioning it, bro, because Japanese people are not innocent too, especially when they fucking have they kick back a shit ton of booze and shit like that, bro. I've seen like videos of like Japanese people just like sprawled out in the middle of the street, just thrown up on themselves, thrown up on the trains and shit like that. Oh, these people are not as innocent as you make them seem, or as polite as people or as the media or whoever make them seem to be. They're not.
Even on my recent Butsukari video, I talked about how Japan has a growing problem of individuals flipping out and physically assaulting people, which many times ends up...
But Sky, I've heard about this. And the weird thing is, or the messed up thing is that I've seen it mostly men trying to attack and harass women. I don't get that. Like trying to like, not even grope them, just like getting in their face and saying like fuck you, bitch. It's like, who the fuck you think you are? And just going off on them for like no fucking reason. Like, damn, bro, why are you treating that woman like that? Like, chill the fuck out. Like, what the hell? They're called Butsukai.
taking place in the trains due to the fact that since the rules are so strict, many think they have the right to harass or assault those who they deem to not be following the rules. Foreigners definitely end up breaking these unwritten rules more than the locals do, but let's not forget that the people here are human beings just like the rest of us and fully capable of not following them just like us. The fact is that
I'm
none of
glad
us
he
will be
mentioned
able
it.
to...
The guys, Japanese people are not fucking saints, bro. All right, I'm glad he mentioned that.
Follow these rules all the time, and we're going to mess up. But that is not something to worry about, since none of us are perfect, and all we can do is simply try our best. Until now, we've been talking about kinda modern problems. Annoying, sure, but ultimately surface level. And next, I want to talk about the real issues, the ones that have been part of Japan's public transportation for decades. Groping on the train that is done by those whom Japanese people call chikan is often a topic that is
Chikan.
quickly brought up when social problems of Japan are mentioned. Even though there are many people online who vehemently say the issue is overblown, something I've noticed...
It's not overblown, bro. And the people who are saying it's overblown is either Japanese people who live there or fucking, what do you call it? Foreign fucking men or fucking, like, foreign fucking weebs who are okay seeing this with this type of fucking behavior. Which, if that's the case, fuck them.
Even in my own comment section, the fact of the matter is that around half of the women living in urban areas have had to deal with a chikan at least once in their life.
Dude, why do they look like this, bro? Why do they always look like this? Every time whenever there's like a groper that's been caught online, the majority of the time they look fucking like... They look like fucking neat or like they look like a bunch of fucking dudes who have never had a piece of pussy in their life, bro. They look like they got fucking bullied a lot in high school or they did a lot of like weird shit in high school, bro. I don't want to judge or like, actually I do judge because they're groping women, so fuck them. They always look so fucking weird, bro. Like, seriously.
With the public transportation being incredibly packed during the rush hour and Japanese generally having non-confrontational attitudes towards social situations, it is very easy for men to grope women on the train without having to worry about getting caught doing so. I've had many people in my personal life, sadly, confess to me that they've also been a victim, and even I myself have witnessed it happening right in front of me. I was out in Tokyo with a friend of mine riding the train on the evening, and even though it wasn't a rush hour, it was busy enough that everyone was kinda cramped in together. We were standing at the middle section in front of the doors and just kinda hoping to get to our destination fast, because being stuck in the train in between sweaty salarymen isn't the most fun experience.
Ugh.
After a while out of boredom, I started to look around me, and I noticed a woman slightly behind me with a man who was like really close to her, like pretty much touching her. And I thought it was weird because even though there were many people, there weren't that many that you had to like stand that close to each other. Now, I'm not one to body shame others considering how I myself look, but to put it bluntly, the man looked creepy. And because I don't want to judge other people by the way they look, I just thought like, okay, maybe they're a couple, maybe they know each other, like, what do I know? But when I looked at the woman, it was pretty clear that she was being really uncomfortable with the situation, just trying to look somewhere else while the man was staring at her and breathing down her neck. I whispered to my friend like, am I being crazy or is something wrong with this? And he just kind of gave me the look like, yeah, like something's going on. Now, I don't know if anything else was going on other than him just being way too close to her and overall creepy. However, there didn't seem to be any movement with his hands or any other indication that something more serious was going on. But whatever was happening, it wasn't cool. So when the next stop came, I felt like I had to do something. Now, maybe I should have done something more. I don't know, this was my first time ever witnessing anything like this, and all I knew was that the least I could do was to stop what was happening at that moment. So when people were getting out at the next stop and there was this general movement in the train, I somewhat forcefully pushed myself in between them, just kind of pretending that I was making way for people to get out. Then I kind of forcefully, using the handrail as leverage, pushed the man behind me like further back to give the woman, more space, while pretending I was just that dumb foreigner at the train. And in the end, I can be sure that whatever was happening was uncool, because when the woman left the train, she gave me a small nod as a thanks. Sadly though, due to people—
Nice. Good on him, bro. Good on him for defending her, bro. That's the type of shit that I wish we could see more of that here in the West. That's what I want to say. Except here, we don't do groping like that here in the West, I've noticed. And we do a lot more messed up shit here. So we definitely would like to have a lot more men who basically stand up, not just for women, for people in general like that. People who can't defend themselves and shit like that. But this guy, judging by his accent, I don't think he's American. I think he's like some type of European, maybe Northern European or something.
Non-confrontational attitude, it is rare for someone to step in like this, even if they are able to witness it themselves. This is—
Yeah, it's not. I was going to say that Japanese people are passive, but you also got to understand something. You don't know what that individual is capable of if he gets caught and does something. Here in the States, if you catch somebody doing something stupid and you try to confront them, most people don't do it, especially on the trains here. In the trains in New York City, we have a lot of mentally ill people, a lot of people who are on edge and just do dumb shit. We don't want to fucking confront them because they could have like a knife and stuff like that. There was an incident where a bunch of some guy basically on the train started stabbing this fucking dude with a fucking knife, and the guy was like on the seats, like trying to like avoid it and shit like that. Like, what the fuck is going on? You don't know what people are capable of. That's why people don't really stand up, because you don't know what the fuck these guys are gonna do.
Breaking news at noon. The search is on for a suspect after 2 people are stabbed. This was during rush hour at Grand Central Terminal this morning. Fox 5 obtained an exclusive video of this attack. Let's go out to Fox 5's Arthur Sheehan live at the scene. And Arthur, this all happened.
This is why many were originally very supportive of people like Ren Nakajima, the anti-groping YouTuber who we talked about in our last video. What makes people like Nakajima start fighting against chikan by themselves is the fact that even though Japan has implemented women-only—
Yep, they've been having this for fucking decades, bro. The groping is so bad over there, or the chikan is so bad over there, that they literally had to make train cars for specifically only for women and no men allowed, because shit like that happens. This is fucking crazy. And I think years ago, the U.S. government called them out on it or some shit like that. Or some government called them out on it.
Cars, always on camera shutter, and anti-voice—
Oh, that too right here. This also.
Is the fact that even though Japan has implemented women-only cars, always on camera—
If in Japan, when you buy an iPhone or some type of smartphone, the flash when you take a picture is always on. You cannot disable the flash off the fucking phone when you try to take a picture. You can't do it. Because a lot of these perverts, they used to take photos of these fucking girls, like upskirts and shit like that, and the flash would always be off. So as a rule, all the phones that are like Japan specific, like for Japanese people, the flash always has to be on. You know it's that bad if you have shit like this going on, man.
Camera shutter and anti-voyeurism measures inside the stations, it still isn't enough to stop the rising number of chikan. Another huge negative factor—
Yeah, I think he's going to mention that the police are kind of like, they don't do anything about it, because I think like either the people, like the girl doesn't call it out, or they don't report it, or the police just sweep it under the rug, like they don't give a shit. Only way, in my honest opinion, again, I don't condone violence, the only way is for people to stand up and start like physically doing something to these fucking gropers and these deviants and these perverts, like to say, hey, this is not okay, stop doing this shit, or you're gonna keep getting it even more, you're gonna get it even worse. That's like the only way. I don't condone violence though.
The issue is that the majority of victims, around 80%, never report their cases to the police. And even if they went ahead and tried to make a report, it is commonly known that the Japanese police can be quite unresponsive to sexual harassment cases, which is one of the main factors to underreporting. This is of course anecdotal, but even I myself have had to deal with a stalker to which I didn't receive any help, and I was simply told to come back another time, which I felt like just was a way of shooing me off.
This is the reason why
Yo, they got a lot of fucking stalkers over there too, bro. Oh my god, bro. It's like people are so fucking. I think it's because, and I'm gonna say it's mostly men. I think it's because most of the men are like so fucking like pussy deprived, and like they've never had a girlfriend ever in their life. So most of them, whenever they see like idols or celebrities or like just pretty women in general, they create in their fucking head some type of parasocial relationship that they feel like they're in a relationship with them, even though they've never even spoken with them in their whole fucking life. And they just crash out and lose their shit every time like they get with another person, even though they've never met, you know? So yeah, it's nuts, man.
Regular citizens take it upon themselves to fight against sexual harassment during the rush hour by doing citizen arrests inside the train stations and posting them on YouTube to try and raise awareness to the issue.
there is another topic I've been struggling if I want to talk about or not, but considering it's something I've also had to deal with myself, I feel like I should at least say something.
If you've ever been as unfortunate as me, you might have been stuck on a train that's not moving for hours due to a so-called personal injury. This doesn't always mean the worst, but most of the time,
I'm going to assume it's probably self-deletion.
when a train has stopped due to this reason, it is because someone has jumped under the train. Japan is a country where sadly mental health care is not taken seriously enough, even though, according to the studies, 30% of
I think this is a hikikomori. You know what hikikomori is? Basically like a shut-in. Like they just completely lose like any value of life. They don't care about anything anymore. They just stay in their home, typically their household home, living with their parent or parents, with no aspects of working or going to school or anything. You know, they feel like everything is hopeless or worthless. Basically, black pillars. You know. And like you mentioned before, the self-deletion rate is because I think it's because these people work so much in Japan, 50, 60, 70-hour work days, work weeks, excuse me, and they have little time for themselves, barely any friends, no social life, no girlfriend, they have nothing, you know, and they just fucking just decide to say, you know, fuck this, and just self-delete themselves, you know, typically on trains since it's easier. And I blame most of the problem is like there are a lot more issues why this is happening, but a lot of them is because like the insane work hours from black companies. Black company is like an exploitative like companies that like a company that exploits their fucking people. I'll put like a disclaimer when I put this video up on YouTube on what a black company is, you know, like just for some context. But yeah.
people feel isolated in their lives. Because of overwork, unrealistic social expectations, and isolation, each day trains in the Tokyo area are delayed due to hopeless people jumping on the tracks. The numbers have significantly reduced after Japan Railways began installing countermeasures such as platform doors and warning lights, but still, on average...
Dude, we need this in New York, man. We need this. Way too many fucking people fall on the train because of getting kicked or being thrown in there or just drunk and they fall. I hate that.
There are over 20 incidents nationwide each week. The installation of platform doors...
God, we need this. Cause I remember in Europe they had this shit. When I went to France, they had these fucking doors. And that was back in 2014. So we definitely are lacking on that, especially in New York.
Especially been highly effective since after the Yamanote line in Tokyo adopted them to most of their stations, the number of these incidents dropped to nearly zero. However, while the Tokyo government has a plan to install these barriers to every line in the city, due to semiconductor shortages, the plan is currently at risk. What I feel like people don't talk about often enough, though, is the...
Oh my God, 34 degrees Celsius. How much is 34 degrees Celsius for... How much is 34 degrees Celsius? Hold on, let me Google that. Sorry, guys, I'm a Fahrenheit user, not a Celsius user, so... Yeah, Subi. Hold on. Fahrenheit, 93 degrees. Jesus Christ. Ooh, that's hot, man. And in Japan, they don't use ACs like we do here in the States, bro. Especially when they have those old houses, man. Ooh, man, it's gotta be steamy down there, man, in the train stations at that fucking Tempe.
Emotional toll to commuters, not to mention the drivers, whenever an incident happens.
Why are you wearing a jacket at that hot?
Oh
my God.
Waiting for a long time.
Hold on.
Not to mention the drivers.
Why are you wearing a jacket in that hot weather, bro? That's fucking. Oh my God.
Whenever an incident happens. It can be hard to sit there waiting for a long time, knowing full well what's happening outside the train. Of course, the ones who have it the worst are naturally the families of these people who now have to continue living without a loved one. But what's even more unsettling is the fact that in Japan, whenever someone jumps on the tracks, the railway companies have a tendency to demand tens of thousands of dollars of financial compensation from the victims' families for the repair work and the delay.
Excuse me? So that's crazy, bro. So basically, the families have to deal with the funeral costs and basically the death of their loved one after, you know, they self-deleted themselves in the train track. Now they expect to be, you know, get harassed by the fucking railway companies to pay up for the inconvenience of the train stopping because their loved ones jumped on the track and self-deleted themselves. That's a scumbag move, man. That's really scummy.
And I can't even start to think about how it must feel to lose someone and then have a railway company demand compensation for your loss.
Now, I know that's a pretty heavy thing to think about, and it should be, because these are serious issues that matter. But if there's one thing we can be hopeful about, it's the fact that we live in a world where not every story about Japanese trains has to have a tragic ending. I feel like now is a good time we find what happened with Dylan.
That's fucking crazy. And they want money from him too?
After he accidentally, on his way home from work, photobombed the picture the Toritetsu were trying to take, the video quickly started circulating online and became a huge news headline due to the reception it got. But to Dylan's surprise, people online weren't siding with the Toritetsu, since after all, they are known for being incredibly obnoxious people, and most commenters seemed to find it incredibly funny how he ended up
Wait a minute, hold on one second, hold on.
known for being incredibly obnoxious people, and most commenters seemed to find it incredibly funny how he ended up ruining a picture of these train Karens. Almost overnight, Dylan became an incredibly popular meme on the Japanese internet, getting the nickname Enoden Jitensha Niki, the Enoden Bicycle Bro, that ended up even being referenced in Shonen
That's good. Yo, that's crazy, man. See, bro, this online celebrity overnight, bro. They literally sided with the foreigner instead of the fucking, like, their own fucking people, because those guys are just shitheads, bro. Fucking fanatical over trains, bro. They get a hard on for a fucking train, for certain train cars, bro. Man,
Japan's most popular
I hope this guy's business blows up from that, man.
manga publication. To find out more, I decided to visit his restaurant in the Kamakura area, and there was no better way to do so than to ride the famous Enoden line, though I have to say, it might be a bit too famous for my taste. To this day, thanks to the meme, his restaurant is one of the most popular in the area, enough so that people come there from all around Japan, and he has even started selling
Good
his
stuff.
own merch. And as someone who's now visited the Enoden Bicycle Bros restaurant myself, I can confidently say that the meme is not the only reason this place is so popular, since the food was also
Oh, that food looks bomb. Holy shit. Like a little burrito and shit like that. Like rice, lettuce, tomato. Okay, I'm acting like a fat ass now. I gotta stop.
Now, even though I've listed a lot of problems in this video, it doesn't change the fact that Japanese trains are one of the greatest in the world. However, knowing about their problems...
Yeah, they're very efficient, very clean, and they get there on time. That's what I love about, like, not just Japan, but East Asian trains, bro. They're like the most efficient trains that you've ever seen in your fucking life.
doesn't make the experience any worse, it just makes us better prepared, more respectful, and ultimately a better guest in the country. So hopefully you learned something new, and since there's still a lot to talk about, consider subscribing so we can do this again.
Good video by fucking Paahtis, bro. I really did enjoy that, bro. Let me give this guy a like real quick.